Wrestling nerds, like, subscribe, follow. Let's go.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left, feet left.
What the hell was that?
Oh yeah. What the fuck are you talking about?
What's up, fam? Lazy booking on a special night tonight, Wednesday night. We moved this week. And I am Chrome, joined by my buddy over here, Jeff. No
What's
Maddie.
up?
Not much, brother. Well, glad to have you. No Maddie this week. He'll be back with us next week. But we're here and we're ready to talk some wrestling. And it's going to be a rare week for us, Jeff, because we're going to talk not a whole lot of WWE. There's a lot of AEW stuff to talk about. Dark Side of the Ring is going to be coming back on May 6th. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a couple of notes. Andy Ritter chiming in already from in this very ring saying, have a great show, dorks. Appreciate you, brother. David Rosca, what's up? Chrome and Jeff, what's up? Rosca. Brian Wilson, what's up? Wrestling Talk. Everybody's chiming in, and we want you guys. You're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, wherever you're at. Make sure you guys are following along. Make sure you're subscribing, liking, and all that stuff. But let's give some love to our sponsors. Really tough time for the people in the world right now when it comes to mental health issues, addiction issues. Really difficult time, really hot topic in this country right now. And we are very happy to support the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. So for you or yourself, if anybody that you know needs an outlet to reach out to try to get those resources in order and help yourself out, please dial that phone number 856-651-8117. Again, for the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox, dial 856-651-8117. Take care of yourselves, take care of the people around you, and let's hit this thing head on, guys. We also want to give love to our doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal, the best in the business at specialized physical therapy. You can find him in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can find him on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. No appointment necessary, so make sure you guys are hitting up the doctor and get yourselves taken care of, getting that peak physical condition right now. And obviously, our topic of conversation, we kind of touched on the topics that we're going to talk about. The main topic we're going to talk about here, Jeff, is Kenny Omega. It's going to be Kenny Omega is forced on fans. Agree or disagree? And it's an interesting topic to talk about, considering what we just saw this week with Impact's Rebellion pay-per-view, where we finally saw the merger ish, at least of the titles, a unification almost like of the titles between the Impact World Title, TNA World Title, and the AEW World Title, in which Kenny Omega defeats Rich Swann to now be the unified champion, or I don't know what they're going to call it. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's just the champion of both. I know they're going to go
on both shows, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but they're going to go between both shows. So he's becoming the belt collector. So we're going to talk about Kenny Omega. And it's an interesting topic considering, all the different people over the last, maybe 5 to 10 years that people have said, well, they're being forced down our throats and this and that. So it'd be a really interesting topic to have. Rosca says Kenny Omega's the man. Andy says Omega's 100% being forced on fans. It just doesn't feel organic. I'm an Omega fan in the ring and his characters, but this Omega I'm not a fan of. So is that a testament to how good he's been in this role, or is it is that
he's doing his job?
Yeah. So let's talk about that, Jeff. And that topic is brought to you by Body Check Wellness. BodyCheckWellness.com. If you use the promo code 20% off, it's going to get you 20%. Or use the promo code A2D, get you 20% off all purchases at Body Check Wellness. And when Riley Cote joins the Hockey Happy Hour monthly, former Philadelphia Flyer, they have another package that they sell that you can get 40% off. So for CBD oils and gummies and all that stuff, I've heard the Clarity and Focus is fantastic for anybody. If that's a road you like to look at, they have amazing natural products. Please check them out, bodycheckwellness.com. So, Jeff, I'm going to open up the floor for you, please, sir. In your opinion, is Kenny Omega hitting that point now where it almost feels like he's being forced onto the fans? Agree, disagree?
I'm going to have to disagree with the poll, Chrome. Look, Kenny Omega is arguably one of the top wrestlers in all the world over the last 10 years or so. Look, this is a guy that puts in the work, and he's a guy that people just love to see. And I'll say you kind of expected this with this merger. I'll say you expected with this open-end connection between the different companies that you're going to see this type of angle with either the mixed matchups with Kenny and a bunch of the other guys, especially since he's good friends with Don Callis. Now, the next question is, I'll say, who's he go after next? He's going to go after Ring of Honor. Is he going to go after NWA? So it's interesting to see. Look, we keep on complaining about guys being shoved down our throats. And I'm tired of that old cliche. Like I said last week, we said last week on the show, wrestling fans are fickle. They need something to complain about, whether it's Roman Reigns, whether it's Kenny Omega, whether it's whoever the next big star is. I understand they want up-and-coming new talent, but Kenny Omega brings eyes to these different brands. People are watching the Rebellion pay-per-view because of Kenny Omega. So the fact that people think that he's being shoved down our throats, okay, yeah, he shouldn't have been deserving of a title shot right away and whatever, but it was a decent match. He's a main star, and I would say main stars are going to draw views to these lower-end companies that don't have these great TV contracts. So, like I said, I'm going to have to disagree with the poll. I feel Kenny is doing great things for wrestling. I like this back and forth between the companies, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the rest of this angle, along with some of the other companies hopefully getting involved.
Yeah, and we have a couple comments that are already coming in. AK Eagles 88. He says, "What's up? What's going on?" I didn't catch the name, and somebody before said that they agreed. There it is, Joshua DeJesus. He agrees. So it's interesting, right? Because I think the question comes down to, what do you define as being shoved down people's throats, right? I have been a staunch arguer for this, and you're well aware because you've now been on enough shows with me, and we're in a group chat that we've been in for a while now, to know that I hate the whole people being shoved down your throat thing, right? Like, when I look at somebody and I put the characteristic of someone who's being force fed to us, right? I look at like a Baron Corbin, and it's no disrespect to Baron Corbin. Great guy. He is a very talented guy, but to have that spot with Kurt Angle and a spot that really didn't make a whole lot of sense to begin with to close out Kurt Angle's career, the stuff with Roman Reigns and putting him in these main event programs that really didn't make a whole lot of sense. And really not allowing him to fully develop his character. To me, that's forcing somebody down your throat. It doesn't have to be somebody that we want or don't want or this and that. It's somebody being put in spots that not even that maybe they won't deserve, but they're not ready for that yet. And it's just being done over and over and over again. And we've seen it happen a number of times. I have to disagree with the poll too, simply because, we go back. Let's talk about Roman Reigns, right? What I can go down the list of people, right? And I will say this before I get into that. A lot of this came up from a thread in one of the like a wrestling chat group on Facebook, and it was a very heavily argued thing. But it's very like AEW people were like, no, and look at that's not Roman Reigns and Charlotte Flair, and then the WWE people were like, well, how can you say this about, this person in WWE, but you won't say it about Kenny Omega? And to me, I actually would favor that point to how can you tell me that I can't say that he's being force-fed when you're going to sit there and say, well, WWE does this all the time with these guys. Well, no, because you were a WWE fan and, majority of WWE fans wanted Roman Reigns in that spot when the Shield broke up. Who was the guy that everybody expected to be the one who was lost in the shuffle? It was Seth Rollins. Yep. Everybody
the first champ out of the three.
Absolutely. Right. It ended up being Ambrose. Now John Moxley was kind of the guy who floundered a little bit, and then he was up a little bit, and then he was down, and then he found his way to AEW, and he's doing really great stuff right now with AEW. But they wanted Roman. And then I'll go to Charlotte Flair. It was, how can you not feature Charlotte Flair? She's the best woman. She's not just the best woman. And this is all facts, by the way. I'm not saying this sarcastically. Not only is she the best female, she might be one of the best wrestlers, period, male or female, in the world right now. She has to be featured. She has to be in these spots. She's great on the mic. She's great in the ring, this and that. Becky Lynch. All of that with Becky Lynch was something everybody wanted to see. And they got what they asked for. And looking at all those characters, what happened? Within 6 months, we're going to start turning on them. Because, to your point, not happy unless we have something to complain about.
Yep. Or even like Kofi, a bit like everyone wanted Kofi to be the champion. And everyone's like, oh, he's getting stale. They need to take the title off of him and this and that. So, look, Kenny Omega, I was like,
AJ Styles.
Yeah.
AJ Styles, they did it with him. And then when they took it, then 2 months after they took it off, and we're like, oh, they should never took it off. You wanted them to take it off of him.
Yep. But yeah, look, Kenny's done his dues. He's done his work. He's been a professional from multiple major promotions over his entire career. This ain't some guy that just they thrown into the fire and like, hey, look, he's going to be our champion or throw in this major storyline. Look, when he first started, when they started AEW, how long did it take him to actually get a real title shot or win the title? It took him a while. Everyone was worried that Cody and Omega and Young Bucks and all these guys were going to be starting off as champions since they're the ones that started AEW. That hasn't been the case. I'll say, yeah, he eventually won the title. I'll say he's a moneymaker, like we brought up before. He's a guy that's going to draw ratings, and people in the wrestling community know. So, but it's just getting annoying that fans are just finding things to try to nitpick and bring down one of the best wrestlers in the country today. So just sit back, relax, like I said, enjoy the ride, and just enjoy wrestling. We don't need to keep on nitpicking, be the Dave Meltzer, and find something to bitch about every single week on every single show. So, yeah.
No, and you know, I don't disagree with you, obviously. There are things and elements of how this was executed, and I'm not saying necessarily this weekend, but I wasn't a fan of how they originally took the title off of Moxley and put it on him.
Yeah, I agree.
I just felt like it was very lazy the way that was done. But that being said, you know, there has been a kind of this slow build. I don't like how the Bucks have suddenly transitioned. You know, the Bucks are starting to approach Big Show turns already at this point, and the company's almost 3 years old at this point. I don't like how they were, you know, they were dissed. First they were doing the Too Sweet, then they were dissed. Yeah. Then they're super kicking Don Callis, and they're totally against them. And then literally it was like 1 week, it's like, all right, now you guys are just going to be like totally all for it now, 100% it. John C. Danzo making it back. Appreciate you, brother. Welcome back. You missed a lot. So John's one of our longtime viewers we haven't seen in a while. And John, you missed a lot. There's a lot of interviews you got to go back and check out, buddy, from people that I'm sure you would love to hear from, Larry Zbyszko and whatnot. So make sure you do that. Dougie Ray, he agrees with you here, Jeff, 100%. Omega for life from John. But I agree with you. He's one of the most compelling characters, and that's aside from his phenomenal in-ring work. I felt like the first maybe 2 years he was a little bit maybe overexposed, but maybe now in hindsight, he wasn't utilized correctly, because I didn't feel special about him over the first 2 years, honestly, with AEW. They didn't really throw him too much into the title picture. They didn't have him winning titles, you know, out of the chute, and I felt like, I don't know, he doesn't feel as special as when I'm watching NJPW or I get Wrestle Kingdom and I watch these different events. So I thought maybe he's overexposed here. Maybe he's not he's a top talent, obviously, but maybe he's not as marquee as I thought. But again, when this character kind of switched, a couple weeks into it, as it's gone, I agree with you, Jeff. I think it's been phenomenal. If you look at just the subtleties of things, he's almost like the old Kenny Omega from New Japan.
Yep.
Turned up even a little bit more.
Yeah, I say he's bringing back that old vibe that we've known Kenny from the New Japan time. I say he's bringing back a little bit of that cleaner persona. So I'm enjoying it. Like I'm not just saying this because I'm a big fan of Kenny, but we need new angles. We need new storylines instead of the same crap over and over again. And how often do we really get to see two decently recognizable promotions somewhat joined together to build storylines for their talent. Now, for the match, everyone knew Kenny was winning. Everyone knew that Kenny was going to win that belt on Sunday over Rich Swann. Now, everyone wants to rip the match apart, but what I want to say to them is, what did you expect? Did you expect that Impact was going to allow Kenny Omega to go in there on their pay-per-view and basically just squash one of their talents? It wasn't going to happen. I'll say that I understand there was probably a bunch of false finishes that really didn't need to happen, but they still want to make Rich Swann look somewhat strong in that match, knowing that he tried to give the perspective to the viewership that he might have a chance to win, even though in the back of our minds we know Kenny was probably coming out with the title. But ultimately, I felt it was a decent match. I kind of agree with some of our some people out there that probably would have been a better match for Moose, but Moose is a different style wrestler. I feel with Swann, with his aerodynamics and the way he can be the agile type of wrestler, the high flyer, that it brought a little bit more of a spark and a little bit more of a surpriseness to the match. Like it flowed a little bit better than just two bulky guys going at it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with you in that, in terms of prestige in the company and just kind of feeling like they're ready for that spot. Moose would have been my pick. I'll throw another name out there, and it's a guy who's been in the main event picture, a guy who's carried the TNA flag and the Impact flag for a long time now. His style is a little bit different, but he can still go back and work that style. And I think it would have worked with Omega, and that's Eddie Edwards. Eddie Edwards would have been another name I would have really liked in this spot. But listen, Rich Swann's a guy that they've been, before this whole thing with Impact or with AEW was happening, they were starting to get behind. They were building him as one of their featured talents. Yep. And, with him, I don't like the whole dancing around stuff. That is what I never liked that. I loved his in-ring style. Never loved that whole dancing around stuff, because when it comes to being a title holder, it just lost its believability to me.
Yeah.
But even just some of the promo work that he's done, right? And we talk about Big E, who's turning who's a single star now, and seeing kind of flashes of things, right? And and a lot of these people haven't watched Impact on a regular weekly basis either, Jeff, to know some of the work
in channel most of the country. That's the problem. You can watch it on Twitch for free, but who really wants to go out of their way to set up their smart TV to Twitch so they can watch Impact? If it takes more than 3 buttons for me, I'm turned off and I don't watch it.
John asks the question: will we ever see Omega or the Bucks join WWE for at least one show, yay or nay?
I don't see it.
I can't say. I'll say
it's very slim, is what I should say.
Yeah, it's a hard question to answer, John, just because you never know. He may be a guy, he doesn't have an ownership stake. He may be a guy who says, you know what, I'm going to challenge myself in my last few years of my career. Maybe he pulls an AJ Styles and he hits around, 36, 37 years old, still working at a high level, decides he wants to just try something different.
I don't know. Just Kenny's persona. Not saying he's selfish, but he's one of those guys that, at least in New Japan and with AEW, he has a lot to say on what his character wants to be like. He has that freedom where I feel with WWE, if he goes in there, he's going to be butting heads with Vince. He's going to be butting heads with Triple H. He's going to.
I don't think he would butt heads with Triple H.
Well, I'm saying as far as character,
Vince, you're right. I don't think you would have an issue with Triple H.
Okay, I'm just saying those are the main 2 lead guys. So I'm saying whoever would confront him about his character or what his job is or what he's doing that night, if he has a problem with it, where I just feel he's not more. He doesn't like corporate structure. He likes that freedom, in my opinion, from throughout what you've seen throughout his career. I'm not saying he has to have all his opinions and his match every single way he wants it, but I feel in these 2 companies, the thing with Cody and the thing with New Japan and their league guides, that they listen to their wrestlers' opinions and how they should shape the matches, how they should shape their characters, what they should do as far as storylines. Where WWE, from just hearing from past talent, whenever they were told or whenever they pitched something to creative or to the Vince, it's basically, okay, well, we'll look into that. Thanks for the tip, or thanks for the suggestion, and then they do nothing about it. So I feel Kenny at his age and this career, I see it very slim unless they give him a lot of control over his character and his booking a little bit.
All fair points. All fair points. And, I can't argue with any of that. I just think it's going to depend on who's in control, to be honest, down the road. Do I see this happening anytime in the next 5 or 6 years? Probably not. Very, very unlikely. I would say nay on that one. There was another comment that came up here. Dougie Ray says, one show I listened to, they asked if Omega's legacy is tarnished due to this match. Oh, it's up there. Due to this match and the end of Revolution. I don't think that tarnishes anything.
No.
First of all, I don't know why this match. I mean, unless this was like a stinker, I don't know how this match would tarnish anything.
Like I said, it wasn't anything over the top great. It wasn't like a 5-star Meltzer match, but it wasn't a crapper like the Hall of Fame gimmick match at WrestleMania 17 or anything like that. So yeah. It had its moments. There were a few sloppy spots, and I agree that Swann looked a little bit gassed towards the end of it, but they still put on a hell of a performance, in my opinion. And I honestly, I don't feel it tarnishes legacy. I understand people see him as this great talent from New Japan and in AEW, and just because he lowered himself to Impact, because everyone considers Impact basically the redheaded stepchild of wrestling for the most part, I don't feel it tarnishes him. Look, he put on a great match. He's doing with the booking what he's doing. He's building a storyline. They're building a relationship, and it's gonna just keep on getting better. He's appearing on the Impact this Thursday for his celebration, and I think gonna be on the next Impact Plus paper or special event. So he's gonna drive people to buy their $7.99 rate or subscription just to watch him wrestle.
Yeah, and I will add to that as well for all the people who want to, and listen, I'm not saying it's a whirlwind company. I'm not saying it's something you have to watch all the time. I know we do, but a lot of the talent that you guys watch on NXT, on WWE now, on AEW, all Impact talent. LA Knight, Eli Drake, whatever you want to call them, Taya Valkyrie, MSK, all this NXT talent, guess what? They were carrying the flag over at freaking Impact. Bobby Lashley. You could have seen the Hurt Business before WWE when it was the Beatdown Clan 6 years ago in Impact.
Yeah.
With MVP and with Bobby Lashley. And you would appreciate how much it's even evolved since then, which it was awesome then when they had Kenny King. That's a guy I'd love to see get a shot in WWE. But there's a lot of stuff that you guys miss that people want to dump on it, but they've never given it a chance. And that's the problem, Jeff. They've never given it a freaking chance. There's tons of talent. They might have the best women's division in all of professional wrestling. Or at least for a lot of years they have anyway.
Yeah, I'll say it's still somewhat decent. I don't follow the women's division that closely, but some of their gimmicks turn me off a little bit, and just some of the ring styles. But I would say overall, like some of their matches that I have seen, especially on some of these pay-per-views, they're pretty solid. So the thing is, people just think Impact, and they automatically think that's where old geezers go to die. Because the first round of Impact, you saw the guys like Ric Flair, you saw Kurt Angle, you saw Sting, and all these guys go there that were people felt were washed up, and they really weren't. Look, during the first beginning of Impact or TNA, now that they changed their name, it was still solid wrestling. There were still solid storylines. There was still decent events, in my opinion. I feel Dixie and her family somewhat killed that company a little bit, and that's why I feel they get a little bit of bad rap. But look, they're about to get bigger. I know you don't buy too much into it, but during the pay-per-view, there was a promo for Slammiversary that showed a bunch of released talents from WWE that looks like they possibly could be joining TNA. And we talked, or Impact. Last week we discussed where some of these people might go. There were a couple names like Mickie James and Samoa Joe in that promo that could suggest they might be joining TNA when their 90 days are up.
Well, they did that last year, though. So this is about the same time. They did the exact same thing. They had Doc Gallows was one of the people they featured in those videos. Eric Young was one of the people they featured in those videos. EC3 was somebody they featured in those things. And other people as well.
Yeah.
Those are the three names off the top of my head that I can remember that jump back over there. But you can make the argument, Jeff, that from 2006 to 2010 or 11,
They're better
might have had the best in-ring product, hands down, of any company.
Yep.
Ring of Honor, everybody.
And the problem was they didn't have a decent cable.
What's up, Justin?
Deal, because they were on like 9, 10 o'clock on some random like Spike TV or some random channel that a lot of people don't get.
What was the one channel they were on a few years ago that like I think like
it was like an outdoor channel or something like that.
It was like 2% of the country got it. It was like, what?
So, and then I listened to Eric Bischoff's podcast, and the one thing he says about Impact is they had the talent and they had the storylines to compete with WWE in his mind. The problem was the investors and the people running the company did not believe in the product enough to invest more into it. They felt they couldn't get those big TV deals. They felt that it was a waste of time to do like live tours or pay-per-views every single month instead of the 4 or 5 they did a year or something like that. So he felt that the investors and the people that were running that company held the company back, which ultimately doomed them in the end. Yeah,
John, that's the one, Dougie.
Pursuit.
John said Pop TV, and Pop TV that's another one. Not a very. I mean,
I at least got that one.
Yeah, we got that one on where we're at. But Pursuit, that was the one that was like I didn't even know, like literally like 3% of the country I think gets Pursuit.
Yeah.
Says teasing Okada and Naito for Slammiversary. I mean, again, these are guys who have competed in TNA at one point.
Yeah.
So they just did if you ever watch the Impact, another thing Impact does. So if you don't want to subscribe to the
Impact
Plus, what they do is every week they do an Impact in 60.
Yeah.
And they feature something. So they did one with like crossover to Japan, and they did one of Lost Gems where there was an old Kenny Omega match in TNA from years ago. They had all these like really interesting things. So it's a way that you can kind of catch some of the really fantastic matches that they've had. I think the one they just had last week was title versus title matches.
Oh, okay.
Some of them, if it seems interesting, I'll keep it on. I'll check it out. Sometimes it's fun to watch them. If it's not something I'm interested, like I don't need to see the best of Doc Gallows. I love Gallows and Anderson. I don't need the best of Doc Gallows. I'm good.
No.
But no, I mean, just to kind of tie a bow in this and put a pin in it, I think we're both on board with it. I don't feel like at all that he's forced down our throats. But again, I don't feel like any of them are. No. I feel like we sabotage ourselves. And in turn, we sabotage the talent, right? Because the talent, this is a very, very not, we build them up to break them down kind of a society. That's what we've become.
That, and I'll say, people understand in wrestling, you're damn if you do, damn if you don't. I would say the fact that some of these guys you feel are being forced down our throats is because they're constantly they're constantly on television, which helps build long-term storylines, which a lot of people complain that a lot of wrestling do not do, because then if it's too short or they just randomly start going into a random feud with some guy, with someone versus someone, then you're going to complain, oh, this makes no sense. This is completely random. Why are they doing this? So it's one of those things you just can't make. I understand you can't make everyone happy, but it just feels like a lot of wrestling in the wrestling fans and the wrestling community that no one is happy with anything, which it's just getting ridiculous. Enjoy wrestling.
Absolutely. Spot on. Tonight we have AEW Dynamite. We're very rarely on a Wednesday night to be able to kind of preview it. Now, I kind of wish we were doing next week to kind of lead us into that blood and guts match. It's I guess their version of War Games, which I'm very, very excited to watch.
I'm still pissed. When I would say Blood and Guts was originally announced in Newark at the arena, which I had tickets for, and then because of COVID, it kept on getting pushed back. We're hoping that now that they're going to be touring soon, that maybe Newark or Philly was going to get Blood and Guts again. But nope, here we are, Jacksonville, May 4th next week. I'm still angry about that.
Yeah,
exactly. Thanks, COVID, you jerks.
But I'll tell you what, I was just saying to my buddy today, I want to go to an AEW show for one reason. I just want to be there for a Chris Jericho entrance.
Right?
I just want to be there for the Jericho entrance, man. That's it. I don't care. I don't give a shit what else I see there. I just want to see a Jericho entrance. It's like one of those, it's almost become like, it's like, oh man, I want to be there. I mean, it's not, but like, it's like, a few things. Like I wanted to be there for a demon entrance. And even though it sucked, I hadn't seen a Fiend entrance. And, I mean, even going to like under like certain guys, you just,
You had to experience it live, just to get that atmosphere and feel the vibe of whatever entrance or whatever reason. Like I agree, like Taker, I can see his entrance 1,000 times. Yeah, TV, it's cool. Being there in person, the get those goosebumps. Or like my dude's The Rock. Anytime I was there live for The Rock, I was there at WrestleMania 32 in Dallas when he came out and with the flamethrower, it was insane.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you bring up Undertaker, you bring up Rock. Even if he's not competing, you bring up Shawn Michaels or Austin or these guys when their entrance comes in, when their music hits, right? It's like I'm a kid for the first time again. Hogan, right? Same thing. When I hear, like, being in the arena and hearing Real American, and it's like being there for the first time and hearing it for the first time, even if you've seen it 10 times, you know what I mean? Yep. It's just one of those things. And Jericho has always had a phenomenal entrance, but there's something about it's
singing that song, Singing Judas.
Oh my God, I love that freaking. It's like one of my favorite songs. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would have said that about Cody too if they didn't do this stupid remix.
Luckily, I was able to see Cody's entrance at his last Ring of Honor show at Madison Square Garden when it was him and the Young Bucks' last show at Final Battle. So I was at least able to witness that song, which I enjoy as well. But yeah. I agree, this whole Snoop Dogg or whoever the hell is now like the rap version of it, they just need to get rid of it.
Yeah, they ruined it. Yeah. But so we have Blood and Guts next week. So this week they have the I think it's called the Parlay.
Yeah, something like that.
Where they basically stand in the ring and tell each other why they're going to beat each other's asses face to face.
Yeah. Tomorrow's Dynamite. The couple of highlights for is number one ranked Hangman Page versus Brian Cage, Penta El Zero versus Orange Cassidy, Chris Statlander versus Penelope Ford, World Tag Title Eliminator with the Young Bucks versus Seidel Bros, and then Inner Circle and the Pinnacle Parlay.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm looking forward to, Hangman and Cage, I think is going to be a really, really good match. I'm really getting on board with Hangman Page.
Definitely.
I was not a fan of the alcoholic drinking gimmick that they did. I mean, I know it's still kind of his thing, but like, I didn't like the way they were taking the character, the direction.
Yeah.
With obviously with the Elite. However, I'm actually oddly enough enjoying this little kind of like working relationship with the Dark Order. I mean, him and John Silver are just fantastic together, but I love the way that Silver gets so excited when he's around. But I mean, his in-ring work is so good, and I just feel like he's getting so much better. And he's been a good in-ring guy for a while, but I look at him over the last year, and I just feel like he's gone leaps and bounds even since then.
Yeah.
I mean, how far are we? Because, they have him ranked as, I guess, the number one contender at this point, right? So I'm pretty sure I heard them say last week he was the number one ranked contender in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, Adam Page is currently – I don't know how they're doing these rankings. I don't know if they're just for the last 10 matches or something like that, or maybe just for this year. But so far, yeah, Adam Page is 8-0. Orange Cassidy is 6-0. And then Omega and Darby, the two champs. Omega's 4-0 with Darby being 8-0 as well. Yeah.
So they have him currently. I mean, do we see him be the guy to take the title off of Kenny by the end of the year?
Maybe by the end of the year. I honestly don't see it anytime soon, just because they're having this whole belt collector gimmick with Kenny. And it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the rest of these other promotions with him becoming the belt collector and who's going to take it off. Now, my question is he allowed to defend these other titles in other promotions and that type of thing? Or is he going to be on Impact every week and he can defend the Impact title? Which I want him to see. I want him to see my boy Ace Austin get a shot at least the Impact title, or at least a match against Kenny. He lost his X Division title this past week, so it's going to be interesting to see what he what they do with him as far as his storyline and building his character. Because honestly, I feel, in my opinion, he's one of the more underrated character or one of the more underrated wrestlers in wrestling right now over the past year. And I feel he's getting a lot of steam and building a lot of steam and building his character quite a bit. That he's getting noticed around the wrestling community where a lot of people don't really watch, like you said, that don't watch Impact. They don't know a lot of these guys. But I feel Ace is one of those guys that people are starting to notice a little bit. So I want him. I know that they had him in the title picture for Impact a few times over the past year, but now with Kenny being the mainstream guy on there and being the champion, I want to see one of those matches with him.
Shut up, Tori.
Yeah, shut up, Tori. I would say you should like wrestling. These are half-naked, built body dudes wrestling, so you should be loving wrestling.
Yeah, what he said. It's the only sport where guys wrestle in their underwear for a belt.
Yeah. That doesn't hold it up.
But yeah, no. So I know you're a big Ace Austin guy. And so let me give you my take on Ace Austin. Phenomenal in-ring talent, phenomenal on the mic. I feel like the issue with him and why I have had difficulty connecting with him, it's almost like a revamped cruiserweight Val Venus type of a gimmick, and I don't love that in 2021. I just don't think it works.
Then he doesn't have the normal physique that you see in a lot of world champions. I'm not saying that he should like win the title over Kenny. I'm not saying that, but I just want to see him featured in like one of those big matches against one of the top wrestlers in the country right now. I'm not saying he should dethrone Kenny for the belt, but I feel he's deserving of at least maybe some type of match or a pay-per-view event or something against Kenny.
I don't even need Kenny. I mean, if the Forbidden Door is open now, why can't he go over to Impact or AEW on Dynamite and challenge Darby Allin?
Yeah,
that's a great spot for him, in my opinion.
Yep,
he's talented enough. He's one of those guys that people don't know his name if they don't watch. But if you watch him, he's talented. He is on that talent level to be very worthy to walk right in and not have to go on AEW Dark or whatever that is. He could go immediately on to Dynamite right now and make an impact, especially if he gets into that TNT title program. If he does hello on the mic, I'm sold. No, but he does go after, who was it, Trey Miguel's mom at one point.
Yeah.
Not the best storyline, but
no.
But yeah, I guess I'm intrigued to see how this parlay thing goes tonight. I'm also intrigued to see. I'm a Brian Cage guy. I'm looking forward to that match. I like the Seidel's. I think the match quality is going to be excellent with this, but I don't expect too much to come from it.
No.
What was the Chris Statlander's back, right?
Yeah, and Penelope Ford tonight.
My guess is that you'll see something with Kip and Miro, because I think Miro's been looking for him.
Yeah.
And we haven't really seen him on. Another guy I'm intrigued to ask you about. They've been kind of running these vignettes where he was calling out Kip. Kip, I haven't seen you since this time. Between that and now starting to talk about how he's a guy who will start to do for himself, and everybody who's carrying a title should be looking over their shoulder. There's been a lot of heat for the fact that this guy couldn't get anywhere in WWE, or very, very, very little tread. Goes to Impact, right? And he's one of those big name guys that I think could be a player for them, but has been drastically underutilized. Do you think that this year, by the end of the year, he's going to be carrying a title in AEW?
Who's that?
Miro.
Yeah. The fact that they only have this limited titles, it's not like WWE where they have 1,000 titles per show. So with AEW, it feels like with them, when you're a champion for quite some time for the most part. So I feel there's a possibility. It's just going to be interesting to see on how they handle the storyline or how they build it up to possibly happen, or who he's going to feud with down the line, or what their plans are for him. But I wouldn't be opposed to him winning a title in AEW. I feel he's deserving of it. So
Yeah, he's another guy. I could see him being a TNT champion by the end of 2021.
Yeah.
And then being in the heavyweight championship picture, maybe early 2022, starting to get to that momentum. But thoughts on Ricky Starks? I like Ricky. He's a good talent, but this is the problem, Jeff. This is the problem with all faction wrestling right now. We call it AFW right now, and that's a lot of these guys. Yeah, okay, we're finding spots to put them out there, but they're not like highlighted feature spots, right? They're role players, and I think a lot of these guys that they have are getting lost in the shuffle because everybody has to be in a faction there.
Yep. I say, like we brought up before when we were discussing on where these released talent are going to go. And everyone keeps on saying AEW or they should go to AEW, but the roster's already full enough. Like you brought up, look, we have to have a faction for Ricky Starks and Brian Cage with Taz, just for them to get some TV time and have some type of decent storyline and build because they have Taz as their leader. Without Taz, who knows if these guys really even get they're tremendous talent, but I don't know if they get as featured or build in a lot of the big storylines if they were single competitors. So I like Ricky, but Taz is what gels that together. The fact that he's that mouthpiece, he's basically I'm not saying he's good as Heyman, but he's basically the Heyman of AEW right now, especially with that faction where he can talk on the mic and build up his posse with him basically having just two bodybuilders and bodyguards at his disposal.
Yeah, and real quick, while we have a minute, some love to our sponsor, bodycheckwellness.com, promo code A2D, get you 20% off. Also, whenever Riley Cote joins the Hockey Happy Hour, guys, they have another promo code they use then for a special package they sell that you get 40% off. It's a bulk package. Really phenomenal stuff. So for all you CBD, hemp, all natural, all that stuff for you guys, this is the place that you want to check out and get to. So make sure you show some love to bodycheckwellness.com. And also, wherever you're at, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, wherever you're at, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, following, hitting the like buttons. Let's go. Let's keep the movement going here at A2D Radio. Keep getting this place moving around. John C. Danzo, thoughts on Abaddon? Does she need a mouthpiece to succeed? I don't know. I don't know what I don't know if she's in the right place. I don't know. I can't really answer that because they really haven't given us much of Abaddon, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Inaudible Abaddon noises. I mean, I like her. The character's intriguing. I think she's a little sloppy in the ring at times. I'll say that. But I think she's very talented. It's a very, very interesting character that I think, if the Dark Order was what the Dark Order seemed like it was going to be, would have fit maybe there. Because I think Evil Uno it could have been the mouthpiece for her. He speaks excellently on the mic. Maybe another company, maybe a WWE and mixing her with a Bray Wyatt and having some kind of a faction out of that would work. I don't know. Maybe she could be Sister Abigail in the flesh. Who knows? But, we keep saying that about everybody. But, hey, I'm just saying, though, Rosemary's contract with Impact is supposed to be up anytime now.
They're not letting her go.
I don't know. They're not really doing anything with her.
But like you said, she's probably one of the more, besides Deanna, she's one of the more recognizable and well-known names in that women's division. So,
but what if she's the real Sister Abigail? I'm just saying.
Hey, anything could happen.
And listen,
WWE's money's talk, but she has a little, like we keep on saying about a lot of that Impact talent, they have a kind of a cushy job where they only have to show up once a week, or once a month for like a week, film a month's worth of tapings, and then take time off.
Yeah, I mean, basically go work whatever shows you want to do and do whatever you want to do.
Yep.
Not a bad deal. So, yeah, some good stuff to keep an eye out here. Shout out to, by the way, to Marty the Moth, former Lucha Underground champion. He was out with a major injury. It took a long road back, but if you watched AEW Dark last night, he was there. He was on at AEW Dark, had a match against Brian Cage. Awesome to see him in that light. If you followed his career, he was a guy who was on Tough Enough, the Austin season. and was the favorite to win. No question he would have won that season. But he had an injury that took him out of the competition. Battled his way back, eventually landed at Lucha Underground. Former Lucha Underground champion. We know, unfortunately, what happened with that company, but he had a major injury, worked his way back, and now has, I don't know if it's a one-off or if he's going to be fully signed there, but it's a guy that should have been signed to a major company a long time ago. So congratulations to him to come back from the injury that he had and to be able to get in the ring with the likes of a Brian Cage and have a match last night on AEW Dark. You can check it out on YouTube. Good stuff. One of my favorite things to talk about, Jeff, right around the corner, Dark Side of the Ring. Really, really excited for the new season of Dark Side of the Ring.
Hell yeah.
Let's go through the topics real quick. I'm just pulling it up in our chat.
Yep.
So I don't know if have you rewatched any, while I'm pulling this up, have you rewatched any of the
Confidentials?
Yeah.
I watched a few of them. I haven't had a chance to watch all of them, but I'll say I watched a couple.
Yeah, they're very good.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. And even for other things, right? So I was not aware that Bret Hart wasn't very happy with the Montreal Screwjob episode.
Yeah.
And that's why he wouldn't partake in the Owen Hart episode. But yeah, there's just some, there's little tidbits. So, we all know how great and phenomenal the production of Dark Side of the Ring is. But if you have a chance, you can go back and catch them. Although I think the last one is this week that they're running of the Confidentials. But they're going to eventually do them again.
That, and I believe if you have Hulu, you can watch, I think, the Confidentials on Hulu. Or I think they're online, but I'll say, if you don't know what they are, they're basically the same episodes, but they're throwing in with Conrad Thompson. He interviews certain people from that week's show and the producers of it. So it's very well done. There's a lot of questions. There's some deleted scenes that you didn't see in the original broadcast that they showed during that. It's like an extra 20 or 30 minutes of content per episode they did. So I felt it was pretty well done.
Yeah. And to add on to what you were saying there, right? So they have additional content. So the typical 60-minute episode becomes, an hour and a half episode.
Yeah.
And again, so what they basically the way it's set up is before each commercial break, where they would normally take a commercial, they stop there. They have a conversation with the guys who created it and produced everything and filmed everything. And then you get additional details. So they're like, okay, this is Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, they have another additional 15 to 20 minutes of, like the one episode with Bruiser Brody. They brought in, they said the one guy we were upset that we didn't get a chance to interview was Savio Vega. So they were able to kind of go back and then get Savio Vega to be a part of it.
That, I forget which episode it was, but there was someone that was at one of the events that was like a road crew for them setting up, produce or set up the lights and the crew for their interviews. So when they found out that this guy was at the show, but the episode was already done, that they eventually interviewed him back and got his question. I can't remember which episode it was. It was one of the first ones. I watched the first 2 or 3 of the Confidential season.
Well, one of the ones they talked about was the Montreal Screwjob. Maybe this is what you're thinking of.
One. I think it's the Montreal Screwjob. The guy was there and he was or something, and they wanted to ask him I forget exactly what they asked him, but it was pretty good.
He was actually on the production crew for Wrestling with Shadows.
That's it.
And so they found out about this different, I guess it was the conversation, the audios and stuff from it.
Yep.
And they said, we'd love to get somebody, and someone happened to have a connection to this guys. John, we appreciate you joining, brother. We're usually Tuesday nights, buddy. We came Wednesdays this week because I had a little personal thing yesterday. So make sure you check us Tuesday nights, usually between 6:15 and 6:30 we get rolling. But that was the whole deal with that, was they somehow got connected to this guy. And the guy didn't even realize he was doing this wrestling documentary. He's not a wrestling fan, but they ended up being able to go back and talk to him as well. Yeah. So that was really cool.
They showed him the documentary. He's like, oh snap, this is the trouble I got people in.
Yeah. It was really, really funny. So let's go through the topics for season 3.
Yep.
So The premiere episode will be a 2-hour episode. Brian Pillman, very excited for that one, by the way. Then they will have the WCW NJPW Collision in Korea. Nick Gage, for all you local ones here. That's going to be a real interesting one. The Ultimate Warrior. That one I'm interested in because we've seen so much and like some of it seems to be like the reality, but I want to see what they dig up even more so on each side. Is it going to be more skewed of like this guy wasn't as bad as people thought and WWE just highlighted him that way, or vice versa? Was it like no, this is more details of him holding them up at SummerSlam and stuff like that. So I'm really interested in that. Grizzly Smith and his family of wrestlers. That one's going to be real interesting as well. Because you're talking Jake Roberts. So for anyone who doesn't know who Grizzly Smith is, he's the father of Jake Roberts, Rockin' Robin. Who's the other one? Sam Houston.
Oh, okay.
From Sam Houston was in 1988. Yeah, they're all related. So apparently it was a big wrestling family. And he was like abusive, like sexually abusive to them, all kinds of shit. So if you've heard anything, have you seen anything Jake Roberts and wonder why he's as screwed up as he is, like no offense, he'll tell you. A lot of it goes back to his childhood. Then they have the Dynamite Kid. So I'm assuming they're going to do what they did before and they might take a little break in between, but the second half of the season would then be the WWE Steroid Trials, FMW, Luna Vachon, The Plane Ride from Hell, XPW, Johnny K9, Bruiser Bedlam. I don't know what that is. So
I have no idea. I'll watch it.
I will too. I mean, I'll educate you. And I'm actually really excited for this one, Chris Canyon.
Yeah.
A lot of really, really interesting topics, and again, topics that like I don't know that we really thought about. Even being like, every year when the season ends, it's like, what do you want to see them do on, right?
You're wondering like what else can they really come up with, because we're always worried like the series is just going to end out of nowhere. Like they done the Montreal Screwjob, they done Benoit, they done Jimmy Snuka and the whole murder trial and all that stuff. So you're thinking to yourself, what else can they really come up with that they have done already 2 seasons worth? And you're thinking in the back of your mind, look, it's probably done. And when you hear that they're announcing it again and come up with these topics, it gets you even more excited what after this season, what they can come up with, because you never thought a lot of the stuff that they would actually do.
And some of it too, Jeff, is it's like you don't think of it off the top of your head, but then when you see the list, you're like, oh man, like again, I don't know what Johnny K9 is, so I can't speak to that, but I'm sure it's something very interesting. But I look at all the rest of these topics, and it's either so now some of them are more of like featured highlighted talents, right?
Yep.
Like one about Brian Pillman, one about Nick Gage, Ultimate. But there's so many stories with those people that it's like it's almost like kind of going back like Herb Abrams, right? That was a phenomenal episode, one of the best ones I think they've done. And you realize like even if they shift and start doing more of those career retrospectives, there's a dark side to a lot of these people that maybe you've heard about or it's been talked about, but never really talked about.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's going to be interesting, at least for the Warrior one, like you brought up the point, how they going to display him as a person behind the scenes and as a wrestler, because you have to remember A&E is also doing the biography, I believe, on Ultimate Warrior. So we're going to have 2 somewhat documentaries about the same character within a short amount of time. And it's going to be interesting to see what story we get from each one of those and what they display and what they focus on and what we hear from him. What we can hear, like you said, from one, he's going to say he's this great guy, he's not as bad as a lot of people think, and then or in Dark Side of the Ring, and we hear about like the demons behind him or how he was to town or his family. Or it's going to be interesting to see what type of stories they come up with. And a big one too for me is the Nick Gage one. I know a lot of people might not be thinking about that, but he's having a huge campaign right now in GCW. Battling with Moxley right now, so that's going to get a lot of buzz before, depending when that debuts, right before their big bash. I think is that Spring Bash or something like that.
Yeah, and he's, I mean, you talk about a guy that's hit rock bottom, and I mean as rock bottom as it possibly freaking gets. To I guess, be able to kind of rebuild himself at this point, it's a marvel. Very, very impressive. Another one, Chris Kanyon, right? So in hindsight, after the fact, when you look at Chris Kanyon and you hear about the story of him, and, you know, for all you guys who may or may not remember, Chris Kanyon was in WCW. He was, what was the mask one? What was his mask that he originally came in when he fought Glacier? Mortis?
That might have been it. Let me see his Wikipedia. I don't remember. That was a little bit before my time. Like I said, I didn't watch a lot of WCW back in the early days. Mortis and the Flock?
Might have been Mortis.
He was repackaged as Mortis in '97.
I can't believe I remembered that, by the way.
Meaning for death.
But they had that, and then he was in the Jersey Triad with DDP and Bam Bam Bigelow. But behind the scenes, a lot of people didn't realize that he was a homosexual who like struggled with a lot of demons with all that, and never felt like he could talk to anybody. And eventually, I believe he took his life, battling a lot of depression from not being able to be. So that one to me is very, very interesting. For a guy that I've watched a lot of, and he just seemed like one of those characters, or one of those guys that always seemed to be very happy too. And then when you hear the tragedy of that story, and then
that he openly came out gay and all that, and that he felt he was ridiculed, and it's a tough one to swallow. Obviously, you never want anyone to take their life, but it's gonna be an interesting story.
Yeah. And obviously Luna Vachon, the WWE steroid trials. Although, I mean,
that one's going to be awesome. I hope they at least interviewed Hogan during that. I hope they got some type of footage from Hogan.
I don't know.
Well,
we'll
yeah,
see.
now that he's back with the company somewhat, I'm sure he's not going to bash WWE or talk bad about his boss again.
The Grizzly Smith one is fascinating, though, because I've always found it fascinating, right, that Jake Roberts has been such a public figure, and a lot of it over the last 15 years for the wrong reasons, 20 years for the wrong reasons. And he's openly talked about his father.
Yeah.
But it's like nobody ever listened, right? So, like, I'm interested now to see a detailed description, a conversation, and depiction of what that was really like. Because he has talked about how his father had physically and sexually abused them, like, brutally. And his father was a famous professional wrestler. And, like, this is the shit that was going on behind closed doors. He looked like a fucking lumberjack. Like, it's just... I've always been fascinated by that story. And it was mentioned in... What is it? Dark Side of the Ring? Which one of the documentaries did he participate in? Not Dark Side of the Ring.
It might have been... I'm trying to think.
I think it was Beyond the Map, but I could be wrong. He did participate in one of those, but he talked about that story. And again, I've never ever heard anybody like ask any further questions about it.
Nails would be a good one. He doesn't give a shit about Vince and WWE anymore.
That guy's crazy.
Yup.
I mean, there's some real interesting stories. I would love to hear about. And he just came back to WWE, right? So, like,
yeah,
I would have loved to have heard, like, the Matt, Jeff, Lita love triangle.
Yeah.
That would be a really fascinating one. And how that affected people, how that affected Matt's career. Because Matt is very vocal and doesn't really care. Yep. Obviously, we're not going to get that now, but a lot of really good stories, guys. Maybe something with Dixie down the road. There's been a lot of rumors about Dixie over the years. If there's any truth to that, I'd love to hear what some of that stuff is. But yeah, I guess, if you're looking at one episode, Jeff, which one's the one that excites you, I think, the most?
Like I said, probably the Warrior one. Warrior Engage my 1A, 1B. Probably right now, just because, like I said, with A&E and WWE doing their documentary, Engage being the limelight right now, don't get me wrong, there's a couple other ones, but those are probably my top two I'm probably looking forward to. And the steroid trial, just to see the angle that they come up with, or what they, maybe some stories that we didn't hear about in the trials, or statements and things like that, that maybe Vince tried to push under the rug, the save his own face, even though he was found not guilty. So,
yeah, I think for me, Warrior would probably be one. If I was to do a top three, Warrior would be one. Grizzly Smith and his family would be two. And I would say three. I don't know, man.
they're all.
The Luna Vachon one seems very interesting to me too, because you haven't really heard a lot about her, but
No.
you've heard that there was some issues with her.
Yeah.
Both to work with and then after her career. Now, if I remember reading correctly, by the end of her life, she at least it seemed, because I think she was another OD, but she seemed to have cleaned up a lot of her personal issues that she had. But I've never really heard details about it. So that intrigues me. And for the majority of these, minus whatever Johnny Canine is, I've heard stuff about it, so I'm not like totally going in blind, but I've never heard the details of Luna, and she's an intriguing character from when I was a kid, so that one I'm very excited. That would be a good one, but you'll never get that one.
Nope.
You'll never get the Shawn Michaels one.
Nope.
Marty Jannetty would be a great one though.
That would be fucking hilarious. Just hearing some that, or Iron Sheik. Just I don't know about if there's any dark side or dark stories about Sheik, but just to hear him talk, just the way he talks on Twitter, it'd be fucking hilarious and great television.
Oh, Sheiky Baby's hilarious. Do you watch Young Rock?
Yeah, fucking love it.
He is so funny. I think Sheik's just a good guy. I just think he just doesn't give a shit and curses all the time.
Yep.
But yeah, that would probably be my top three that I would really be looking forward to. But it's going to be a real fun thing. I'm hoping that we can do some recaps for some of the episodes, which we wanted to do it last year. We never really got a chance to dive too deep into it. So this year I'm going to try to make sure we carve out time so we can do some recaps and just talk about some highlights of it. I hate to get to discuss spoilers, but because of, I think the night of the week that we're on now, last time we were on Thursday, so you got a spoiler right away. I think because the night of the week we're on now, it's like close to a week later, we're good.
Yeah.
So before we go off the air here, because we're going to hop off in about 7 minutes at 7:30. Side note too, before we do that, guys, make sure you stay tuned. We have one of our draft special shows tonight. You got a big crew of guys that are going to be on previewing the NFL draft tomorrow night before the Eagles draft a quarterback at the 12th pick. So make sure you guys are staying in tune with that. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following. So if you're on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're at now, make sure you're pounding the like button, subscribe button, share with your friends. Keep the A2D movement going. Get it moving. We got wrestling, combat sports, all professional major sports, everything here for you, the people. So make sure you guys are doing that. Jeff, interesting point. I'm not even going to worry about Raw. It was.
I only watched the first 20 minutes. I didn't have the chance to caught up, so I'm okay with that.
I'll tell you what, the first 20 minutes, and I'm not spoiling anything, but at least half of the show was Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre.
I kind of figured they're probably going to set up some type of triple threat match with Lashley at this WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view they're having in a couple weeks. So I kind of figured that's where they're going to go with the angle when they try to team them up. They'll open up the show.
I'm not even exaggerating. Half the show, I think time-wise, literally was them on the screen, one or both.
Fucking ridiculous.
It was very, very difficult to get into this week. I'm not even going to bother with it. But what I did find very fascinating, and I think it was something you shared with us today, was WWE makes a big move with their lead producer.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we all knew this, but to me, this definitely is the 100% confirmation. Jason Jordan's probably never coming back to the ring. And I think we kind of knew that was probably going to be the case. However, they have made him now the lead producer for Raw and SmackDown taking over John Laurinaitis' spot, who I believe Johnny Ace is going to be probably moving back into some kind of a talent relations role or something with the company.
Well, yeah, especially since they freaking fired pretty much their entire talent relations and PR department after the whole debacle of Mickie James getting her shit sent in garbage bags. Way to go, Corona.
Corona. Hey, I met him at WrestleMania 31. He was nice.
Yeah, he was putting on an act apparently, especially take it with a grain of salt since it's his ex-girlfriend, but he did seem like a very nice guy. And watching Total Divas, he seemed like I admit I watched Total Divas and I watched the
so do I.
And the Total Belt show. So you'll see him.
I talk about that shit on here all the time.
Yeah. So seeing him on there, I understand it's a little bit company line and all that, but he seemed like a freaking douche.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of those guys. When I met him, I was like, "Oh man, he's way nicer than I thought he would be." But then, you watch him on TV, and he's a douche.
And I get it. In that position, it's a lose-lose position. No one wants that position because you're either no matter what you do, you're caught in the fire between talent and Vince McMahon, and you're trying to make everyone happy. And also, you can't make everyone happy, so you're pissing off 50% of them or making the other 50% happy. There's no way 24/7. There's always some type of heat with you with that position. So yeah. I don't blame him for being somewhat of a douche, but for what he did to Mickey, and who knows if he's done that to previous talent in the past. And
it sounds like he has.
So
it does sound like he has. But yeah. But so Jason Jordan now officially moves into the lead producer role at 32 years old, which is almost unheard of for this company. So I have to ask Jeff, do you think that this is a sign of things to come? And B, do you think that this is going to help to boost with some of the with the quality? Because we know that, essentially his role is to assist with, helping to assemble matches and whatnot, finishes and all that stuff. He's taking on the lead role. This isn't a guy who's
for both
shows. Complimentary for both shows. So clearly he's moved up in the company very quickly. But do you look at this as a good thing?
I honestly do feel it's a good thing. It's a new mind. It's a fresh face, a guy with new ideas, and a young face for a guy that's been around the business and probably knows and hears and is very entail, if that's the correct word, with what's going on in the wrestling community and what wrestling fans somewhat want. Granted, his boss is still Vince McMahon, so he still has to listen to him and hear what he wants and hear what he has to say to build these storylines and build these matches and get these long-term storylines built. But I'm excited for it. I'm nothing against Johnny Laurinaitis. He's been a great guy, but let's be real. We keep on talking about how WWE is so stale with their storylines and their matches, and that we need somewhat of a new direction. And hopefully, Jason Jordan's that guy that can fill that hole and be that voice to somewhat maybe tell Vince, hey, maybe we should do this instead. Because I love Johnny to death, but he somewhat felt like a little bit of a yes man to Vince. He's worked with Vince for so long that he's just going to go with what Vince wants and Vince says. So maybe we'll finally have that guy to somewhat stand up for the talent, since he knows what it's like to be talent in that current locker room.
You sound like Bruce Pritchard. Hey, boss. Hey, yeah, I can do that for you. You want me to kiss your butt while I'm at it? No, I agree with you, and I'll give Johnny Ace this as a pat on the back. He seems to be a chameleon who, maybe it is because of the tenure that he's been there, but he seems to be a guy that can effectively be moved into any spot that they need him to be in the company, and they're important roles. We're not talking about he's having these secondary or supporting roles. He's taking on major roles throughout the company, and he seems to be doing well. So, that's a good thing too, that you have a guy like that you can shift around the company, and it's a good thing to be able to move in a young talent, like you said, a fresh mind. A guy who's very clearly adapting to the role too, at a very fast pace. What was his last WrestleMania? WrestleMania 33, I think. So
I believe
you're talking within the last 3.5-4 years. Well, he was supposed to wrestle with Kurt at 35, I think.
It was the year with Rousey, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. You're right. 34.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 3 years. Right, and within 3 years to get a role like that at 32 years old, I mean, congratulations to him, man. I mean, he's a guy that when they get all the content back up on the network, literally not even that long ago, you can go back to Breaking Ground and watch him trying to sink his teeth into the main roster from NXT, and now he's your lead producer. So really cool, really great for him. Hopefully it's helpful and effective, and we'll see how that goes from there. But Jeff, great show tonight, buddy. Appreciate you hopping on as usual.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
We missed you, Maddie. We'll get you back with us next week, but I don't think we have anything big going on this weekend, right? No pay-per-views, none of that stuff. I can't even keep track half the time.
No, I don't believe so. Not this week.
It's so weird having this long. Like, this is always the weirdest break in between after WrestleMania, whenever the next pay-per-view is. It always just is so long. It's 5 or 6 weeks. So
yeah.
But we'll be back next week, and we'll discuss some other whatever the fresh topics are to discuss, and if there are any fresh topics, if not, we'll make them up. Whatever. We'll talk about what you guys want to talk about, what's trending. So thank you to our sponsors here, and we have a different sponsor up here, but that works. Looking to buy or sell a home, looking for a change in your career or brokerage, contact Alan Foy at eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820. You can visit him at alan.foy at exprealty.com. Also, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy. You can find him in Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Find him on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Where am I on? I don't even know. Is Frank still back there? Here he is. Body Check Wellness. Body Check Wellness promo code A2D is going to get you 20% off. So make sure you guys are checking them out. All your hemp, CBD oils, all that different stuff. A2D gets you 20% off at bodycheckwellness.com. When Riley Cote joins the Hockey Happy Hour, guess what? They got a special package. You can get 40% off of that package. So keep an eye out for that. And obviously right now, tough time for people in the world. Talking about mental health, addiction issues, major things. So for you or yourself, you guys are looking for outlets, trying to see what your options are to get the help that you need. We support the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. So we would strongly urge for you to dial that phone number, 856-651-8117. Again, the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox at 856-651-8117. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you. And let's just freaking get in the trenches with each other and battle this thing. But for myself, for Jeff, Frank Vespi back there on the ones and twos, appreciate you, brother. Stay tuned, guys. Again, like, subscribe, follow, pound the like button, do everything you can, share with your peeps, get A2D out there, keep the movement going. Let's get our asses back on our regular Twitter page. Jerks. I don't know how they haven't done that yet. And, hey, by the way, make sure you guys are staying tuned. 8 o'clock, the night before draft special for A2D on A2D Wednesdays is going to be kicking off. So make sure you guys are checking them out. Frank will be a part of that. So for myself, Jeff, Frank, love you guys. Take care. Be safe out there. Take care.